We were growing up in a very isolated, kind of coal mining community. My dad was a coal miner, and Nick and I are both first generation college, first in our families to go to college. I was around Big Nick, and I knew him as a business leader, as owning the gas station in the community and the little Dairy Queen across the street. And we knew him to be very demanding and a perfectionist, but always kind-hearted, always somebody that if you had trouble in the community, you could go to Mr. Nick and he could solve problems for you.
Look, my dad had such an impact on me growing up. The importance of doing things the right way, doing your best, work ethic. I mean, so many things that I go back to working at my dad's service station. I think also that my dad was a coach, and that's where he was toughest on all of us. He expected and demanded the best. So the elements of all the things that I believe in as a coach were instilled in me when I was 10 years old playing Pop Warner football.
Damn, man, you guys got no points.
And sometimes it seemed like nothing was ever good enough.
8 seconds to go in the game. We got to call timeout because we got 12 guys on the field.
The first coach to change Nick Saban's life was his father. The next was his head football coach at Kent State.
I never grew up wanting to be a coach. Coach James, Don James, who was my college coach, calls me in his office, says, I want you to be a graduate assistant and coach. And I said, Coach, why would I do that? I don't want to go to graduate school. I was tired of being poor. We were, and wanted to get a job and do something.
Nick's father had the gas station, and Nick always worked in the gas station. So that was something that he considered was having a car dealership and something that paralleled the gas station.
So he said, but, Miss Terry's got another year of school. You promised your parents when they allowed you to get married that you'd both finish college. So, he kind of put me on the spot, and I agreed to do it. After the first game of that season, I realized how much I liked being a coach, that it was a lot like playing. I liked the competition. I liked the relationships and involvement with the players. So I called my dad. I said, this is really what I want to do. And he was excited and happy that, because I was, like a lot of people when they're young, you're not for sure what you want to do, where am I going to fit into this world? And, I called my dad and I told him, and it's the last conversation I had with my dad before he passed away.
Obviously, we were shocked because he was young and we thought he was fit. He was jogging when he died. I think his first concern was his mother, who was home by herself.
He was self-employed with a service station, a small restaurant. That was going to be a difficult thing for my mom to be able to manage on her own. I had worked there for years. I could have done it, and no one would really allow me to do it.
His mother and the women in the family said, no, we're so proud of what you're doing, and we want you to continue on.
To have great parents and great family support, this is a tremendous example.
Let's go. Good warm-up now. Let's go. Come on.
This career as a coach would have never occurred had the family not been so supportive of allowing me to do what they felt I wanted to do rather than what they needed for me to do at the time.
Standing on the shoulders of his home team in the hills of West Virginia, Nick Saban returned to the Kent State coaching staff, taking one more small step toward the football life he nearly never had.
During that year, I think he learned to love it, and also the opportunities just kept coming. Do you want to be a GA? And then you can help the coordinator, and then you can be the coordinator, and then you can be the assistant head coach. And there was never a time where it just didn't roll us into that next opportunity. So I often wonder if I hadn't had that one more year of college, if he would exclusively be in the car business.
For a couple of years after graduation, Vince Lombardi was at loose ends. He gave law school a try, but after one semester, dropped out.
He kind of knocked around, played a little semi-pro football. And as I recall, he worked for a collection agency. And wasn't thrilled with that.
At 26, Lombardi was still looking for a career when an unexpected offer came his way. When he was asked to be an assistant high school coach, Lombardi jumped at the chance, though it was the other part of the job that piqued his interest.
My dad taught at St. Cecilia's High School in Englewood, New Jersey, which is a immediate suburb of New York City. Taught chemistry, physics, and Latin. And he was a very good teacher.
I can remember he threw an eraser at my wife one time because she was gabbing in the back of the classroom. He was a stickler to make sure that you understood the subject. He did take time for kids who were a little slower, and he was patient with them.
His patience in the classroom translated to the football field and helped elevate him from assistant to head coach.
I remember when we came out for practice before the season began, he had a football there, and he said, "This is a football." And he took the football and threw it away, and he said, "That's the last you're going to see of a football for 2 weeks." For 2 weeks, it was merciless calisthenics. The practices were not only long, but difficult. We went into the evening. We would be scrimmaging under headlights from cars.
He was a great believer in the fundamentals. I want you to block, 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 and run, 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 and boom. He was that way, you know. I remember I used to say, they don't belong in the same field with you, you know. I thought to myself, you're talking about the guys out there, they're a foot over my head, they're about 30 pounds heavier than me. They're killing me out there. But you get to the point where you say, geez, maybe he's right. Maybe he knows something that I don't know, you know? And you start playing maybe a little over your head.
Lombardi spent 8 years at St. Cecilia's, 5 as head coach. The tiny Catholic school had an enrollment of 300, but won 6 straight parochial school state titles and racked up a consecutive streak of 32 unbeaten games. Somehow, St. Cecilia's was beating schools with 10 times its student body.
You have to attribute that to him, see? He was the difference. He knew how to get the most out of his players. He was a genius at that.
Lombardi had a natural gift for leadership, which the basketball team soon discovered.
Vince never played it, Vince never coached it. He goes to the library, and he gets a book by the head coach at SMU, who wrote this book like, 15, 20 years earlier, when the center jump was after every basket. Using that book as his guide, you gotta make so many passes. That's what you gotta make so many passes. I don't care if you're standing alone in it, you gotta make so many passes. So he coaches out of this textbook, which becomes his Bible, and he wins a state championship.
He didn't know much about basketball, but he knew about people. He's a master psychologist. He rode me. He embarrassed me, and, he hounded me. But he never let me leave the gym without coming over and pat me on the butt saying, "Mick, today was a tough day. Tomorrow's gonna be a better day." He just made me want to play harder.
He loved the sensation of developing a team and then prevailing. That addiction of winning sort of hit him at St. Cecilia, and he realized that this is what he could do.
I think coaching is teaching, see? So I don't think there's any difference whether you teach on the football field or whether you teach in the classroom, right? They're both exactly the same. It's a question of a good teacher puts across what he must put across to his pupils. Whether it's done on the football field or whether it's done in the classroom is one and the same thing.
He's been loved. He's been loved. It's been sewn together. He's had open heart surgery.
When did you know he was going to go into football as his profession?
From the time he was about 2. He loved everything that his dad did. Anything that Steve did, he wanted to do.
Steve Belichick was a scout and coach for the Naval Academy football team for more than 30 years. Bill spent his childhood following his father on the Annapolis campus.
He wasn't a pest. He was there to learn.
You know, like when my dad would show films over at the field house for the scout report, you know, just kind of hang out then.
He didn't do anything that disrupted anything. His father would have whacked him, no.
My job is to stay out of the way.
He loved the Naval Academy.
We got the other kid from Navy.
I'm kind of partial over Navy guys.
Oh yeah, I am. I would never take a guy for Army. I'm telling you, I couldn't handle it.
I mean, I can still, you know, hear the cleats. You know, because you wore the regular cleats over there, and then they'd, you know, walk on the sidewalk, and, you know, I can hear the cleats walking on this pavement right here.
Bill wore his own cleats as a member of the Annapolis High football team during the racially charged times of the late 60s.
You know, that's a great thing about sports. Race didn't have anything to do with it. And the coach was, you know, the coach was great. All the racial stuff and all, he didn't care anything about that. It was never a factor. Everybody was accepted as part of the team based on what your commitment to the team was. It was a great life experience. So it stands right over there behind the trees. That's it. I mean, really, it looks the same to me. Like nothing's changed. By the time I got out of high school, that's all I'd known. I didn't have a perspective on selfish players or guys that didn't want to do what they were supposed to do. Like, that didn't exist. It didn't exist at the Naval Academy, and it didn't exist at Annapolis. You know, when you grow up that way, and that's all you see, then it influences you and influences your philosophy because it's all you know.
But no one influenced Bill Belichick more than his father.
He was demanding of his players. Expected them to get it right away. I'd say I'm more patient than he was. He didn't have much patience. Sometimes that was good.
I saw my first football game in 1924. That's a long time ago.
It is. It's kind of probably fortunate that he was able to, you know, find football, find coaching, enjoy life as much as he did. Yeah, I'd say it was real important. It was a huge part of his life. And he loved it, you know, and he loved it.
Growing up, Coughlin thought all he ever wanted to be was a coach, before realizing he wanted more. He wanted to coach at the highest level. So at age 27, after 4 years as the head coach of the Division III Rochester Institute of Technology Tigers, Coughlin took a position at his Division I alma mater, under head coach Frank Maloney.
For as a quarterback, all of our footwork was on the like a clock. When you drop back, you'd open it, 6 o'clock, or running play, you'd open at 5 o'clock, and there's times you go through the film and it would be, well, you're opening at 4:30, not 5. That's just how detailed he was.
Tuning the Syracuse quarterbacks into Clockwork Orangemen helped Coughlin become the team's offensive coordinator. The promotion raised his profile, but also put an even greater squeeze on his time.
He once said to me, "You knew what it was going to be." And I said I had no clue the hours that a coach puts in.
Coming up, going from on the clock.
Your foot position has to be exactly, not 5 o'clock, not 6 o'clock, 5:30.
To on the road.
I was in 3rd grade, and my paper was that the best day of my life was when the Giants beat the Bills in Super Bowl 25.